I got you at 6 o'clock. Give me whatever you want me to do during time. Just do what I'm told. And thank you for answering. I did the numbers and you were right. So I thought there's no reason to call yeah, I think that's because they have some I got put on another committee now. This committee it works for you. And I have to take 4 of those. Make you take it. He eats like a horse. And she barely took the stairs. So I said, she's honestly, I think we've got it juiced. It's not resolved. And she has enough. No, they're trying to get her plate. Honestly, it doesn't.
Kelly tested I'm being safe. Well, you have a different word for it.
Well, and I'm okay with you not having the answers, you know, and it's like, I'm sad about it,
I see. Yes, someone else. There's
Greg knows how to. Well, you know, I'm wondering if that sleeping through the night. That's her dad. So we've got a plastic cover on.
I have
she's very biased. She knows there's a problem. She's like, yeah. That's probably a good idea. I know Elliot suggested some of those.
No.
Yeah, but that's not the same. Hi, you. How are you? Oh, I'm not. I'm at the back of the class. I'm loving it. Same job. Like I said, I'm a woman.
So excited to see everybody here this morning for this great celebration for our 50th anniversary this year in Duluth, University of Minnesota Medical School. So I'm so excited to see all the faces here in the audience. Thank you for being flexible with us as we move this event indoors today. Before we get started, I'd like to start with a landing. So the University of Minnesota, the landing acknowledgement is as follows. So we collectively acknowledge that the University of Minnesota Duluth is located on the traditional, ancestral, and contemporary lands of Indigenous people. The university resides on land that was cared for and called home by the Ojibwe people, before them the Dakota and Northern Cheyenne people, and other native peoples from time immemorial. Ceded by the Ojibwe in an 1854 treaty, this land holds great historical, spiritual, and personal significance for its original stewards, the native nations and peoples of this region. We recognize and continually support and advocate for the sovereignty of the native nations in this territory and beyond. By offering this land acknowledgement, we affirm tribal sovereignty, and we will work to hold the University of Minnesota Duluth accountable to American Indian peoples and nations. Thank you. So, in June of 1969, the Minnesota State Legislature approved the establishment of a new basic sciences program for medical training curriculum on the Duluth campus of the University of Minnesota. And they were tasked with identifying a dean and staff and to pay for related expenses for planning the design of the curriculum, to find a building and program for the first class of students that were to enter in 1972, 50 years ago. This entry class of 1972 had 24 students, and it had a focus on rural family medicine and Native American health. And it established itself on the lower campus until 1978, when it moved up to join UND. We've been here on this campus for the last 44 years. Since 1972, we've graduated over 2,000 students from the Duluth campus, and of these, 48% of our alumni practice in family medicine, compared to with 9% of physicians nationally. 67% of our alumni practice in primary care, 44% of our alumni in communities with populations under 20,000, compared to 8% of physicians nationally. 63% of our alumni practice medicine in the state of Minnesota, and we are second in the nation in graduating physicians with a Native American heritage. And importantly, we also make an impact in our communities here in Duluth, where 200 alumni from our campus practice here locally within the city. As a percentage of graduates at the campus, we rank in the top 5 in the country in training students that go on into primary care with a focus on family medicine, and in training students with Native American heritage. Currently, we've grown. We have 65 students per year on the Duluth campus, and we do year 1, year 2 training for these students. So at any given moment in time, we have about 130 students on this campus engaging in their medical education. And our reach goes beyond just the education of our students, but connects to rural communities throughout the state, including our community here in Duluth, through community engagement, research, and volunteer efforts. So I want to thank everybody here today, including faculty, staff, current, and all of our students and alumni, and we are looking forward to this event and the events following for this weekend. It's my great honor to then introduce you next to our Dean of the Medical School, Jacob Toll.
Right. So, thank you for being here. Hi. This is so cool. You know, I would have liked it outside. You know, people know how I like nature and, you know, the whole awe that one gets from running around, you know, on the path, you know, around the lakes and so forth. But this has unexpectedly another sort of archetype for me. People who know me know that I love opera. And this looks like an opera house. This is like La Felice. You know, this is beautiful. You know, one can hear Verdi in the background. So 1972 is a long time ago. Okay? It is the year where NASA started the space shuttle. The Godfather, I really like that, was released. The first pocket calculator Hewlett Packard put on. It had to be a really large pocket. Got better with Androids and iPhones in the meantime. Malcolm Moose was the president of the university, and wait for it, a gallon of gas cost anybody? 55 cents. That brings it home, I think. You know, this was a long time ago. And what I love about it is, also people who know me know that I like math. And what really is remarkable about this moment in time today, here amongst friends, colleagues, and supporters, is that the second law of thermodynamics operates everywhere. chancellor, second floor, thermodynamics. Anybody? You know, he's my friend, I can embarrass him. So this rules everything we do in physics, in biology, in medicine. Second law of thermodynamics is very simple, says that entropy, disorganization in the universe increases. That's it. And the only way you can hold order in society, in biology, metabolism, anywhere is if you have these, Ilya Prigogine, who got Nobel Prize for it, called it whirlpools of organization. That's what you want. That's what happened. Because the time, the 50 years, the 1972 and onwards, that's sort of irrelevant. It's undifferentiated time, if you will. But what happened on this campus is quite unique because form and structure and discipline came in place, and that's why we have this campus, and that's why we have something to talk about today. So around the mid-century, it was obvious that we need more physicians that will aim their service and their personal and professional substance to service in rural Minnesota, outside of big hospitals, outside of big cities. In 1966, it was the first time that the United States Medical Organization has actually recognized that this is going to happen. In 1968, the Board of Regents of the University of Minnesota has made it their priority, and that's why in 1972, we started with the 24 students that Kevin was talking about. Now, that was just the beginning, because, again, if you start something, it's as any idea that I've ever seen. It's fragile at its inception. Many things can derail it. Actually, the default is, coming back to this second law of thermodynamics, it gets more disorganized, and she likes that. And it becomes that undifferentiated mush again. It was the consistent ability to get disciplined and organized, connected to the purpose, to people, and to the place in a way that others couldn't do it. And I'm immensely proud of us being able to do this at this university, at this time, because it set an example for many others in the United States and internationally as well. So what were the goals? The goals were that more people in family medicine graduated and practiced. We are, in no dissent to regional dean Eagles percents, we are number one, okay? I like it. I like it. Okay, number one is a good position to be. We are number one in the United States. The second was get the primary care education. We are, based on the US News Force report, we are number 3 in the United States, which is phenomenal because we are sort of punching above our weight, if you will, in numbers. But I'm not, trying to dilute it. Number 3 is really, really good, nice grounds. I'll take it. And we are number 2, silver, in graduating Native American physicians, which I'm in as well. And so these are the outcomes, these were the goals, and these are the achievements. And as Dr. Deagle said, about 44 to 50 on a good year, our alumni practice in rural Minnesota. That's pretty amazing if you think about where we were and how we got them. So this alone wouldn't be enough, in my opinion, but it's not all of it. We have started medical discovery teams here, called memory keepers. Some people and me are here that represent that, where we focus on the Native American health, but not only in what everybody else is doing, sort of supporting the community. That's unquestionably important and fundamental. We went further on. We said, what is the link between diabetes and dementia? How come that we see it more often in the Native Americans and elsewhere? This is a scientific question, and everything in medicine that ever happened that mattered started in science, started in understanding how we got them from the appearances. If you look at human body, you don't get much smarter. You have to look at the smaller magnifications, you have to disassemble the stuff, you have to put it together, and then learn from that and come back. That's what we are doing in memory keepers. We have the Center for American Indian and Minority Health here, which has taken a phenomenal approach to education, starting from the very beginning of life, from kindergarten through all the steps up going and traveling with these young people to get them into the position to actually be able to come to medical school or other health sciences at the sort of the beginning of their young adult life. And we have phenomenal research here. We have the biomedical science department that has contributed tremendously to the neuroscience and other fields to cancer and makes it visible from the contact to the research fundamentals that we use in medicine day in, day out. And I'm immensely proud of the fact that all these three, the memory keepers, the center, and the department, are led by women. And I have very strong women at home. So I have some healthy appreciation for their leadership. And I'm, you know, everybody knows that I'm very much supportive of that trend. So as we have gotten to this point, I also think that there are some learnings that we are better take from it. So there are some themes that I see as I go through the figures and examples and so forth in this. The first one is collaboration, the ability to work in teams. And I envision the medical school and the practice that we have and the community engagement that we have as a team of teams, that there is a shared consciousness, you know, that's coming, you know, it may come from the top or from the bottom, doesn't matter, but everybody understands we are working on the same thing. And then the decisions are made as typically, not typically, as they should be, not typically, made at the lowest level. That's what I try to make in any kind of a administration that I've ever served. The decisions need to be made on the lowest level that is knowledgeable enough to make high quality decisions, not on the top, because that doesn't work. And that's the first one. The second one is that there is certain awe, even as Christine drove me here, and I look at the lake, I always get the same thing. And, you know, I love this place, but it happens to me in the Alps, you know, it happens to me in Colorado, it happens to me, you know, in any sort of a nature-rich environment. They're all at the circumstances that are outside of us. And I think that the trend of not over-publicizing who we are here, even though, you know, the hosts and others would have done it, is a part of that. It's a confident humility that we are able to do this stuff without bragging too much to this distastefully about it. And the third one is engagement, the ability to really come to the communities in the city, outside of the city, and learn by listening. And then the leadership is the continuum from that listening and learning. And that ability, these themes are, in my opinion, defining for this campus. And they are why with buoyancy and hope, I look for the next 50 years that are distinguishing this way. Now, do I still have a little time? You do? Okay. Let me try something. So I have learned a long time ago that any decision that is good, mine or somebody else's, better not be based on what's in front of us in the moment. There are some exceptions. You know, in my operating room, in my ICU, you actually have to have a quick reaction time. You are sort of expected to do that. But outside of that, I think that all decisions increase in quality if you can make them with the view on the history. How did we come here? And the introductory remarks of Dr. Diebel, you know, point to that. How did we get to this point? And then with the look of the future, because our future is going to be presence of somebody else that's going to come after us, who are either our children or grandchildren or are not born yet. And I look at the future with certain awe as well, because I think they are like a molten glass. They are undefined. You know, many things can happen. If you have had that discussion that we are having today in 1950s or 1960s, you would have not known that we will be in this room in this way and we will have these accomplishments to talk about. So in the same deference, I look at that molten glass that's just not hardened yet of our future. And I think it's like a new adventure. It's like an obligation to people who are coming after us that I think anchor us, anchor me for sure, in this humble but firm decision making at the moment. And Mayor Larson just because we talked about her son being intelligent, my son being, very keen. It's like a teenager, future, I think. You don't know what's going to come out of that. The potential is there, but what is it? That is it. So with that, I'd like to thank everyone and say that the flourishing of this campus that is on the step up to become the best version of what a campus can be and medical school can be, will culminate on this ability to transform the future in a way that will continue the legacy of this campus. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dean Toller, for those remarks. I really appreciate them. And it really does highlight where we're at here today. A transition from honoring the history of everything that this campus has done, carrying that legacy forward into the future. Next, it's my honor to then introduce everybody to the Duluth Mayor, Emily Woods.
Energized by somebody, and so I want to thank you, Dee, for doing exactly what you do, which is connect us to the bigger world and what's important and what we're capable of. So thank you. I do remember our first meeting. It was with Regent McMillan and President Gable, and you probably 4 or 5 years ago, and still one of my favorite meetings we've ever had. It just, there's a connection and a vibrancy that you bring to this work and this vision that is really important to this community. So thank you for your vision. It all works out with teenagers, right? We know that. Well, welcome everybody, and thank you so much for the invitation to be a part of this today. The medical school is such an important part and piece of our story here as a community, who we are, who we're becoming, who we've been, and why this work matters. I want to acknowledge also that I know President Forsman is here, Go Bulldogs and alumni, and Councilor Tomac is here, and I'm not sure if there are other city councilors here. CIO Noah Schuckman is here as well. I acknowledge them because we are in an active conversation with this incredible campus about how the city can continue to support and invest and co-invest in a vision for health that's expansive, that isn't just about what's happening here on this campus and in concert with the campus in the Twin Cities, but is also deeply rooted in community, in the needs that we have and how we show up for one another, in the transformation that is possible through health and community at the intersection of this medical school. There was a time that I actually thought about going to med school. I was a parent. I had 2 young kids. I was feeling ready for what would be next and came up here, actually had a meeting, thought about it, realized that for me, what I was really drawn to was the idea of utilizing, education and learning to advance people's lives with people. And that is not so different to what I do now as a policymaker and as a mayor, which is to utilize the skills and learning to advance the lives of people with people. And so it's important to me that this medical school stay vibrant, stay present, stay supporting, because the work that's coming out of this is centered on the health and livelihood of people. And we can't forget that in a world that wants to kind of remind us of the disconnections between health and health systems. It all starts with people learning about one another, learning about what connects us, learning about supporting good health. And for us to have this school here for 50 years, what a gift. Truly, what a gift. Whatever the city of Duluth can do to continue to be a strong and resilient partner with you as you grow your vision, as you graduate and continue to be first, second, and third, in all the things that are important and measurable and the ways that you give back. And I thank you, especially at this time with a pandemic. You're going to school. This school is supporting healthcare professionals at a very difficult and stressful time. And we know that we rely on you in countless ways to be healthy, to take care of our kids, to take care of our parents, to take care of one another. So with that, and I also just want to say, Chancellor McMillan, I'm so glad you're here. You're really a great leader for this campus. I'm really, really happy that you're here. So thank you for your service. So I have a proclamation I get to share on behalf of the city of Duluth today. Whereas the University of Minnesota Medical School Duluth campus has served its mission to be a leader in educating physicians, serving the needs of rural Minnesota and Native American communities since its founding in 1972. Whereas the University of Minnesota Medical School Duluth campus leads the nation in the percentage of graduates who choose family medicine, with 44% practicing in non-urban and suburban communities and 69% settling in Minnesota. Whereas the University of Minnesota Medical School Duluth campus is the second largest Native American physician graduate program in the United States. And whereas the University of Minnesota Medical School Duluth campus leads research initiatives that are both innovative and diverse, connecting health issues relevant to rural, underserved, and Native American communities. Now, therefore, I, Emily Larson, Mayor of the City of Duluth, do officially proclaim September 15th, 2022 as University of Minnesota Medical School Duluth Campus Day in the City of Duluth. Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you so much for attending this.
Is it a diploma?
Okay, and with that, our next speaker today is our interim chancellor for the University of Minnesota Duluth campus. Interim chancellor. Thank you very much.
Everybody, I'll follow Jacob's lead and try standing on this side of the podium since I don't have a proclamation to read. But Jacob, had you asked me to hum a few lines from one of Verdi's great arias, I might have done that. Instead, you put me on the spot to nail the second law of thermodynamics. My father being an aeronautical and mechanical engineer, he taught me a lot of things like Archimedes' principle at 3 years old in a bathtub. But none of that worked for me. A C- in algebra from Mountain View High School led to a path to UMD and a great education in liberal arts. I did manage to get through short course calc up here long ago, but I am so humbled and so honored and so thrilled to be on this campus as its transitional leader. Thank you for your kind words and support that I've had inside and outside this organization. Community has just been marvelous. And, I was 11 when this campus put its first cohort into motion in 1972, and you talk about consequential things that leaders did. We could go through, you know, the Solons and the Huntleys and names like that were in the legislature doing things back in that time. And I don't think that's the purpose of today, but how many things happened where you can look at it 50 years back, thinking of Jacob's thoughts, Emily, where you're making such a difference today. So what this school does for the medical profession, what this school does for the community, what this school does for this campus. I mean, we are proud to host pharmacy and medical school campuses in the middle of UMD. And it makes us better, it makes us more aspirational, and it keeps us tied to our provider friends at St. Luke's and Cincha in ways that are just so vital. So I've had the good fortune to be in a lot of roles at the university, and I'm hoping that none are as consequential as the one I now hold. And count on me from the medical school standpoint to be a champion for what you need. Dr. Tolar, you know my ties to the system too, so we're very, very proud of everything this year. I think one of the previous speakers said the next 50 years will undoubtedly be quite remarkable, and perhaps even more consequential than the first 50. This is the second time in my role I've been able to speak here, and the first one was when I think you introduced me and I got to speak to the 65 incoming members of the current cohort. And, back to my math and my math skills, if I remember, it was 65 over 4,200, or did I invert those numbers for the number of applicants?
I believe it was 2,600.
26, see, there I go. So, yeah, 65, 200 or 65, 2600. You know, it's a very, very small number and a very, very privileged, talented group that's here and that follows their cohorts ahead of them. But it's just a pleasure to wander across the yard here and wander into the school. I hope I'll get more opportunities to come back. Congratulations, and we'll move on.
It's not a good He's certainly not a physics or math department. All right, and finally today, it's my honor to then introduce everyone here to the Duluth Area Chamber of Commerce for a ribbon cutting.
Thank you very much. I almost feel like I should stand like back here just to get one more angle. We are so honored and humbled and privileged to be here today from the Chamber. And I want to recognize that we have quite a few representatives from the Chamber here today. Of course, we have Dan Cannon, who was our past chair, and we're very excited that he's going to be joining our organization. We have Kathleen Brevet, Lori Steinbach, and Chris Johnson is here. There she is right there. We also have quite a few of our Chamber ambassadors here today. Jenna Evans, who's been a huge part of the Chamber, is now here and coordinated this amazing event, so thank you very much. Lynn Williams has been heavily involved in the Chamber as well, so it's quite an honor and privilege to be here myself and to be here with a lot of Chamber representation. I think for everybody, and I also have to point out how I got set up to be the cleanup hitter with this lineup. Dr. Greenwald, Dr. Kohler, Mayor Larson, Chancellor McMillan, who was very humble in describing his education because the man is a doctor himself, he's just a Juris Doctor. So a brilliant man himself. How I got scheduled to be the cleanup hitter, I'm not sure, but I remember this day forever. It won't happen again. I have a very personal connection to the medical school and to medicine in general. My father works in the medical field. He was in med school when he switched over to divinity school at Yale and has worked at St. Luke's for 40 years. You know him well. My wife works as a psychotherapist at Essentia, so some connections there. The sixth dean of the UMD Medical School was my cousin, Dr. Paula Tremulli, one of my mom's best friends. So a strong connection there, and many friends and family who have come through this medical school. So while I wasn't born in 1972, from 1983 and beyond, growing up in Chester Bowl, this medical school has been relevant to me and important to me personally. Professionally, this medical school has a profound impact on the Chamber. That's why we're so thrilled to be here today. I can't overstate the importance of the medical school to our economy. We are seeing huge investments from Essentia, from St. Luke's, and from many other clinics that are growing or coming here. And a big reason for that is the medical school that we have here. And we're so grateful to all the leaders for having this medical campus here. In addition to that, I now have the great pleasure of inviting people to do a ribbon cutting. And knowing that I am the cleanup hitter, I know to keep it brief. So what I'd like to do is look at Chris here and see where we are moving people for the ribbon cutting. Okay.
Yeah.
So on behalf of the Duluth Area Chamber of Commerce, our staff, our board, and ambassadors that are here today, we want to wish the medical school congratulations, thanks, gratitude, in celebration of your 50th anniversary. So we will move over and do a ribbon cutting in celebration of that. Thank you so much for having us here today.